Hello everybody, welcome back to Arma 3 mission making in 15 minutes or less, and today we're going to talk about the respawn system on in Arma 3. How we can make it work, what are the different things that we need to think about, and what are the different ways that we can use the respawn system to achieve what we want it to achieve in game. Two ways of doing it, but before we get into all of that, we need to activate respawn within the game itself. So as ever, I've got a dude down and my Zeus module to test, and then we're going to go into attributes, into multiplayer, and then you get the drop down list here. I don't know why I'm doing this because you don't need to do it for the respawn thing, but force a habit. You need to go into the respawn where it says the drop down list here. You're either going to have respawn on custom position, which is what we're going to use for controlling where we're going to respawn, or you can have respawn position of death. So when you die, you essentially respawn itself. You can add a delay, and I would certainly recommend adding a delay. 3 seconds seems to be a good time. That kind of takes away a little bit of disorientation when you're killed. Can show the scoreboard and allowing manual respawn, so particularly useful if you've got errors or you're trapped or you're there are issues within game and you want to respawn to make that work. I won't necessarily go down these so much. I don't tend to use them, but one thing that you can think about is whether or not you save loadout. So I tend to leave this unchecked so that when I'm in game, if my team lead, so my the guys that I'm playing with, if they've done some element of customization within the kind of the fob that we're operating from, then if they do die and respawn, they'll retain that customization. Whereas if you save the loadout, it means that they're going to revert back to that default loadout. Pros and cons, because if you rinse a load of ammunition, you need to go and get some more ammunition, right? But if not, then you're good to go with the default settings. So it really does have a think about it. I won't go through the rest of the multiplayer. That's covered in a separate tutorial. But this one here, that's what you need to know for the respawn. So we're set up for respawn on custom position, and as you can see from the tooltip, there are two ways of doing it. One is the respawn system module, and the other one is using an empty marker for respawn and respawn west for blue 4 and so on and so forth. So if you look over here in the markers, you can see we've got a respawn west, but we've also got a respawn west 1 and a respawn west 2. What that will do is will randomly spawn me at either the airport, the other one which is at Crossroads in San Luis, up at the lumber mill all over on the eastern part of the island. I've then thrown down a trigger, and I want super awkward. This one needs to be alpha. That'd have been weird. So this one's down as radio alpha, and what that's going to do is at a point in the game, and depending on how you want it to trigger, again, trigger separate tutorial, but at a point in the game where you want to remove those spawn points, let's say you're doing an escape and evasion exercise and you want to kind of progress across the island, you've got those random spawn points to start in at, and then you want to get rid of them, then you can use this where you call respawn west, you reset the marker position, and I've got another empty one you can see over here, just grayed out, spawn 1, and then it deletes the other respawn markers, so those ones are no longer available. And then again, having done that, you can do the same thing again just by setting that marker position. So it allows you to respawn randomly on this this side of the island. We're then going to respawn over here, and we're going to delete that and respawn on this island over here. Other things, so the randomization aspect is really useful for things like if you want to do some navigation, you want to help develop your navigation skills or develop the navigation skills of the guys that you're playing with. You can set up a bunch of these markers all the way around the island, and then you'll essentially respawn at random locations across the island, and you can start practicing your navigation skills, figuring out where you are on the map, and so on and so forth. So really useful, really simple, and a great way of utilising that system. We'll go in game, we'll have a look at that, and then we'll come out and we'll look at the other respawn, which is using the system modules. Okay, so you can hear we are in game. Now press escape and respawn. There's my little 3-second count. And I am at the lumber mill, he says, cautiously optimistic. There indeed is a lumber mill. Let's have another go. Respawn again. Here's me at the crossroads. Respawn again should hopefully throw me into the airfield. Nope, back at the lumber mill. So it is indeed truly random. There is no sequence to it. And back at the crossroads for some bizarre reason. Enough messing around with that. So if I now go to radio and alpha, that should have moved the spawn position to the west part of the island. Hooray, success! So we're now radio alpha respawned on the west part of the island, in the vicinity of the gorge. And if I do same again with Bravo, and it puts me up on that northwestern mini island. So that's kind of creating a spawn point using multiple spawn points and then moving that spawn point as you go along. Okay, so we're back onto our island, and you can see here that I've taken the markers. I've deleted all of those empty markers with respawn west in them, and instead I've gone into systems and couldn't remember where it was, so I just put respawn, but it's under multiplayer, and you get respawn position, one of these modules down here. And let's add a fourth one onto, let's go to Laval. So we'll drop it down here on this road junction here. So all you do is drop the system module within the game, double click, and you want to give it a name. So we'll call this Laval. You need to change the side to blue 4. And then you need to go into attributes, multiplayer, and you want to, where we didn't touch the rule sets before, you need to go into select respawn position. You need to check that. So once that's done, save that, press play, into multiplayer, and we'll see. So now you can see we're in the mission, and we've got these different locations of where the where we're going to respawn. If I press Laval, here's me at Laval. If I hit respawn, again I come back to the screen for where I want to pick. So I mean, useful for mission stuff if you've got some kind of persistent mission, or you want something where you've got let's say different operations going on in different areas, and that's the way the vanilla multiple respawn system works, I think. But also for training. So let's say I want to go and do, my group, we do some patrol stuff around this island. We do some aviation stuff around the airport, funny old things, some sort of basic training skills around the island of Moray. And we've got a little fob over at Laval with some operations in and around that area that goes on for training and development. So that's one of the ways in which you can use this kind of respawn system. And guys, that is it. That is respawns in 15 minutes or less. And today we covered the use of the system markers and how you can use them within that kind of training environment, or to be very selective on where you want to do your respawns. And then we also looked at the empty markers with the respawn west. Key point to remember is you've got to get it in that variable, not in the text, because I've made that mistake before. But essentially getting in respawn west and making sure that you are making the necessary changes to the respawn element of the multiplayer settings. Any questions, please leave them for me in the comments. I'm going to do my best to get back to you. Thanks very much for your time. Take care and stay safe.